Hello, you. Welcome to Neighborful at Night. We are here to help you lay down the burdens of this day and get some rest. My name is Michael, and I'm the creator and host of Neighborful Station, a story based meditation podcast set in a small town that's big enough for all of us. We gather tonight in solidarity with our family and dear friends in Minnesota, and with everyone else who is confronting injustice around the world right now. Many of us are surrounded by cold, snow, and ice. We are here to remember that no matter how hard this day has been, we are still connected, and that the world we are longing to create together is still possible. So let's take a moment now to get comfy. I invite you to close your eyes, if that feels right to you, and listen to my voice. Take a deep breath. As you leave behind the hustle of your day, take a moment now to think of someone who brings peace to your heart. This can be someone from your present or your past, someone who is still with us or not. It can even be someone that you don't know personally, but have seen out in the world. Think of how this person inspires you to seek peace in your own life, and take another deep breath. Let's widen that circle and think about all of the people in your life who have shown you how to be generous, courageous, and kind. These can be relatives or chosen family. They can be teachers, coaches, mentors, and neighbors. I want you to take 30 seconds right now and remember how these people have formed you with your love. I will keep the time. Thank you, friends. As we close out this meditation, I invite you now to stretch your arms and legs out a little, if that's comfortable for you, and let go of the tensions of the day. Each time we gather for Neighborful at Night, we have a show and tell with people from our community. Sometimes I will be sharing their stories, and sometimes they will be sharing their own. Tonight, I want to introduce you to my friend and collaborator Isabella, who creates the illustrated episode covers for Neighborful Station. Isabella has been an artist all her life, and in our conversation, she will talk about her own journey as a painter and illustrator. Let's listen in as Isabella tells us about her work.
My name's Isabella Willing. I am an artist on Neighborful Station and also in my free time. Definitely in terms of art, I prefer painting. Um, Definitely pieces where they tell a story. My favorite reactions in the entire world are where I am showing somebody a piece of art, and then the second that I start to explain it or maybe give a little bit of backstory behind, if it's a portrait, what it's a backstory on the person, or if it's a landscape, it's a backstory on what that scene means to the story. My favorite is when I get reactions of, oh, so definitely pieces that tell more of a story as opposed to a still life or something that's a little bit more technical. Those are definitely my preferred pieces. And also, in my free time, I definitely like to explore different mediums. I enjoy failing. I enjoy getting my hands dirty and trying new things. Recently, I tried woodworking. Never done that before. I also bought a big thing of clay. I was playing with that for a couple days. Never done that before. So definitely exploring my abilities, but also exploring different ways in which I could depict the same story. I find that very interesting. So in my free time, I definitely like to explore different ways about creating. Of course, for Neighborful, I get a script before and I get to read that and kind of create stories in my head that are maybe in addition to the script. And so definitely being able to depict things that way, but also in my free time. I really enjoy doing portraits, whether it be of people, pets, whatever the case may be, because I find that there's a lot of story in just looking at the person alone, being able to look at their eyes, at their expression. And so recently I had done a commission of a pet who recently passed and being able to see the audience's reaction to that really meant a lot to me. And also, portraits of people who mean a lot to me or mean a lot to whoever is the person commissioning me to do it. Those definitely mean a lot to me. I'm working on one right now of a grandparent, and so those definitely are meaningful for me. I definitely try to create something every day, even if it's just I'm jotting down a plan for my next project, or I'm planning out colors that I like together, sketching patterns that I like together. I always try to do something with my hands every day. But for example, last weekend I was road tripping, I was out of town, I didn't have any of my materials with me. So if my days get too busy in the sense that I don't have the resources that I need, I don't have enough time in the day, I definitely try to find inspiration outside. When I'm walking, murals are a big one. I love murals. I'm always taking pictures of them, especially because they're so large most of the time. There's usually a lot to pick out that you love, a lot to pick out that maybe you would do differently. But even on a smaller scale, if I'm going on a walk, I'm always taking pictures of logos, patterns, colors that I really like together. And so my camera roll is filled with tiny pieces of art that maybe most people wouldn't find, but I like to pick them out in my outside environment so that when I am finally back in my studio, I have all my resources in front of me. I can go back and get inspired like that. But I was walking down the street a couple months ago and I saw this big mural that was similar to one of the covers that I did for Neighborful, and I 100% ended up using it for inspiration. It was for um, farmers market. It was for the farmers market, and I had seen a mural that wasn't exactly that, but I really enjoyed the way that it was depicting the fruit and the sale signs and that kind of thing. So I definitely use that for direct inspiration, and I just think that was a really good example. I think that the journey of an artist is so different than most. A lot of career paths can be very linear and there are specific milestones that you're supposed to hit. The career of an artist is definitely not that. You're going to have your ups and downs. You're going to have times where you feel like maybe you shouldn't be doing this. Maybe you're not good enough to be doing this. You're always going to have people telling you, that you should be doing something different. But definitely having the motivation internally to be able to get over those mental obstacles is really important. And also just remembering that creating bad art is so much better than not creating anything at all. So even if I'm drawing something and I decide, you know what, this stinks. I don't like where it's heading. I don't like how it looks. You created that, and that is so much more meaningful than if there was nothing on the page and it was completely empty. And you can always throw it away the next day if you don't like it, but at the end of the day, that is still practice for you to be getting better tomorrow when you decide to pick up the sketchbook again. So definitely keeping in mind that creating something bad is so much bad. Creating something bad is so much better than not creating anything at all. And I think that's a really big part of the journey that people forget.
Now, think back to a time in your life when you have helped to create a moment that brings people together. It could be a painting party in your new home, an evening with friends at the pottery studio, or drawing with sidewalk chalk on your neighbor's driveway with their kids. Bring yourself back to that experience. Remember what it feels like to enjoy the company of people of good faith, and take a slow breath. All right, let's have one more big stretch together. See if it feels good now to wiggle your fingers and toes, and try to release any tension in your shoulders by holding them up to your ears for a second and then letting them down. Tomorrow, we will be back here for another edition of Neighborful at Night, with a show and tell about the remarkable story of the playgrounds of Amsterdam. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you can also visit neighborfulstation.us and then click on At Night in the menu at the top of the page to add a reminder to your calendar. As we come to the end of this gathering, I invite you to stick around for a bedtime story as we listen to a sleep edition episode of Neighborful Station. Tonight's episode is called Northern Lights. The town got together last summer on the observation deck up on the ridgeline to watch the Perseids meteor shower, and got to see the northern lights as well. The story will play for about 10 minutes, and then the soundscape of the town will continue to fill out a full hour. You might like to let the soundscape play if you're ready for bed, or just to have some peaceful background noise as you take some time away from your screens. If you'd like to set a sleep timer on your device, you can set it right now for 1 hour, and it should switch off just before the soundscape runs out. Note that if you are on your phone or tablet, the audio from the broadcast will probably cut out when you switch apps to set up your timer. But we will still be here. Just come back to your browser or the YouTube app after the timer starts running. I want to thank you again for joining us and for taking this opportunity to rest. You are wonderful, just as you are, and you deserve to live in a world that lives up to your own goodness. May you find ways to bring creative energy to your neighborhood. May you always remember that you are surrounded by the love that has formed you, and may you grant yourself the gift of rest tonight. Thank you, friends. Good night. Welcome to the sleep edition of Postcards from Neighborful Station. At the end of the story, the soundscape will continue to play so that you can fall asleep. Sweet dreams. On the night of the August full moon, you returned home a little early after the baked potato buffet to rest and digest your dinner. You have a late night ahead because you are staying up to watch the Perseids meteor shower during its annual visit. You sit down with a book in your living room, feeling full and sleepy. You have prepared a cup of green tea to give you a little energy for this late adventure. With the antique clock from your grandmother on your mantel marking time, you feel the soft upholstery of your favorite armchair against the backs of your knees, and with your bare feet planted on the creaky hardwood floor, you take a slow breath. Neighborful Station is still quiet in these late summer days, with people away on vacation before school starts again. But as you walk up Stevens Lane toward the college campus, others from your neighborhood are also making their way up the gentle slope of town. You are all heading for the observation deck on the Ridgeline Trail, where the town library is hosting a viewing event for the meteor shower. "Hello, you!" Someone calls out through the darkness. "Ready to see some space rocks?" You say, "Yes," "Hello, Joshua. I haven't seen you in forever." He says, "Not since Juneteenth, maybe. I was gone for most of July. I've got friends from college in Brooklyn. They have a spare bedroom at their house, and they've got a cottage on Fire Island where we go for the weekends." You say, "That sounds lovely." Joshua adds, "Best thing is, the whole deal is practically free. I cook a few dinners a week and walk their dog during the day. They tell me it saves them money when I come visit." You nod and ask, "When does festival committee pick up again for you?" Joshua laughs and says, "For us, you mean? We have the Harvest Festival in October. That's the biggest one we do. I guess this will be your first since you moved here, right?" You say, "Yes, that's right." A familiar voice chimes in, "Best weekend all year, and this whole town is so grateful to Joshua for making it happen." You look over to see Mayor Ashley crossing the street toward you. Joshua waves at the mayor and says, "Oh, stop." She says, "Can't stop, won't stop. I'm not just the mayor, I'm also a founding member of the Joshua Fan Club." Even in the darkness, you can see Joshua blushing. The three of you cross onto the campus, making your way to the Ridgeline Trail. Mayor Ashley and Joshua continue catching up with each other, but you ease back from their conversation. As you cross Ruston Street, the hills ahead rising to the sky, you let the easy chatter of your neighbors drift past you. You see a row of crepe myrtle trees in full bloom, their branches heavy with flowers. You smell a hint of pizza in the air from the late night shop next to campus, and you feel the cool and humid breeze from the ridge on your skin. You take a contented breath. There are red lights on the path up to the observation deck, along with a sign reminding visitors to put your phone away so as not to ruin your night vision. When you reach the top, there are dozens of people on the observation deck. They are sitting in camp chairs or laying on yoga mats, heads craned toward the sky. Someone yells, "2 o'clock!" and everyone snaps to look toward the northeast. You see a fiery green streak of light, and a ripple of oohs and ahs passes over the crowd. You, Joshua, and Mayor Ashley all get yoga mats from the observatory library, a shed where the trail meets the deck. As you find an open space to lay out your mats, an older person in a camp chair whispers to you with excitement, "It looks like we'll be able to see the northern lights tonight, too." You say, "Really? I didn't think that was even possible this far south." They say, "It's very rare. We may or may not see it because of the moon. Set yourself up so you're facing north." You do as you've been told, laying down so that your feet face the river. The moon is still low in the sky, hiding behind the tree line, glowing a deep yellow through the canopy and practically shimmering in the night air. You have started to doze off when the crowd gasps, bringing you back to alertness. You look up and see a series of magenta pulses arcing through the sky. Mayor Ashley grabs your arm and says, "Can you see it? Can you see it?" You say, "Oh, yes, you bet I can." The meteors trace occasional vivid lines over the backdrop of the aurora, and the crowd murmurs with delight. You feel the firm wooden deck supporting your body through the yoga mat, and you hear the chorus of the forest at night, joined by the quiet voices all around you. You take in the majestic show playing out overhead, and you draw in a deep breath. Joshua yawns and says, I feel like a kid at a slumber party. I don't want to go to bed. Mayor Ashley props herself up on an elbow and faces both of you. She says, Nobody told you that you had to go to bed. You say, I started to fall asleep a little. Joshua grins and says, Yeah, we noticed. The mayor wrinkles her nose and says, I think it's even better that way. This all feels like a dream. You drift off, open your eyes again, and you see this? She waves broadly toward the sky and continues, Maybe you are doing it just right. You say, Thanks, Your Excellency. She chuckles softly and replies, Vote early and often, that's all I ask.